The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ralph Tycho with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and it is my pleasure to introduce the newest segment of the Comfortably Zoned Network show. It is Trending News Live with Fred Wallin and Tom Simon. How are you, gentlemen?
Tom, well, it's good to hear from you. I think Fred is doing well in Westlake Village, California, and I'm coming to you from Tempe, Arizona at the Majana's restaurant.
Beautiful. And I'm in Northern California, in Alameda, California. And you guys have been doing this on Facebook Live for some time now, and I've been impressed by your banter. And why don't you start off and give the audience a general idea of what you guys do? Let's start with Fred.
Well, we talk some politics. We talk some sports. Tom's on the right. I'm on the left. He's usually wrong. I'm usually right. We both are sports nuts. We both played sports growing up, so we also obviously love talking sports. Tom was born in San Francisco. I was born in Los Angeles. Tom lives now, as he indicated, in Arizona. I still live outside of L.A. And we talk a lot of sports, and we talk about the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers and the history of baseball and all kinds of things. And it's been fun. I think 16 months we've been doing it on Facebook Live at 3 p.m. Pacific time. You simply go to Facebook and you go to Thomas Simon Trending Topics News Radio, and it pops up, and you can email us, and we go from there. Tom, what else do we do?
Well, I think the most important thing that we do is we talk about the issues of the day, including sports issues, and we come at it from all different angles. And so it's been my philosophy over the course of time, folks, and Fred, you know this, and Ralph, you'll get to know it, is that I believe that the more information the person gets, the better off they are in our society today, and then they can make up their own mind what they believe. We don't need to tell them what to believe. We need to give them the information from all sides and all angles. That's what we try to do on this program, is we try to give you information from the left, from the right, from the center, and we have enough confidence in you, the listener, that you'll be able to make up your mind and determine for yourself what is right, what is wrong, what is true, and what is not true. And I have myself the confidence that you'll know that most of the time Fred is wrong and I'm right.
Okay, but you're so objective about that, Thomas. It sounds just as Fred was objective when he was describing his point of view before. What is the one topic over the years, months, years, weeks, that you guys have disagreed upon the most?
Let me just intercede here. I might be the number one Spanky hater on earth. I run around.
Now, by Spanky, you're talking about
I wear a uniform that says number one, numero uno. Tom, I don't think Tom's the world's biggest fan of Trump, but I might be I might despise him more than anybody on earth. I really mean that, because to me, he only cares about himself. And I think compassion is maybe the most important thing that a human being can have. And I don't think he has any except for himself. And every day, I think he proves it more and more.
Your words are absolutely the same as Tally Olson's, my beloved, and she puts it as clear and as succinctly as you possibly can. Any human being who stands up and makes fun of a disabled journalist is accused of basically raping a 13-year-old. It's a statutory rape or this, that, and the other thing. And and goes to Helsinki and basically succumbs to a dictator of Russia, deserves not to be elected, and I don't have as much a gripe with him as I do with his enablers and the people who vote for him.
And so then I come in and I say that the two of you in your love fest for hating Trump are wrong in this sense, that you look at the personal issues rather than the beliefs of the individual. And in politics, you're dealing more with the beliefs of the individual. And most of the people who agree with Trump will tell you they don't agree with his personality in many ways, but they agree with his philosophy on government. And this is where I come in. I don't believe that I'm going to have to hate Donald Trump in order to come off as being objective to what's happening in the world today. And I don't hate Donald Trump. I believe that many things that he does are good. I think what he's doing with Iran is good today. I think what he did with North Korea is good. And I think that many of the things that he does are good. And as for unsubstantiated claims of a 13-year-old being raped, I don't buy into those. I'm smart enough to realize that you can make claims all day long, but proving it in a court of law is what this government and what this country is all about, and nothing like that has been close to proven in a court of law, so I don't repeat it.
Problem with that is, of course, it's not just the one 13-year-old. There's 21 different women who have accused him of some kind of sexual allegations, and all 21 cannot be lying. We can figure out the odds, and on Tom's show months ago, we started figuring out the odds. Just multiply 21 times and see what are the odds of all 21 women, the 13-year-old and the other 20, all lying about Trump doing something wrong, bottom line. And then, of course, he lied about the Stormy Daniels thing. He's lying now about the McDougal thing. The FBI today found 12 new audio tapes beyond the one. Now, we don't know how many of those 12 Trump's on, talking to Michael Cohen, but I'm sure he's on some of them. And he lied to the American public. He said he knew nothing about it, about the payoff. Payoff, of course, was from campaign funds eventually. Originally went through Cohen, but then he was paid back through campaign funds, which is an impeachable offense. So let's go back to my thought is that compassion is the number one issue in a human being, and I think brains would be second, and I don't think he's got any compassion and zero brains.
There's countless personal stories, Fred, coming out of the relationships that Trump has had with former employees, men and women, have shown that he is a person of compassion. So for as many stories that you have that say that he isn't compassionate, there are people who will tell you that he is compassionate. And so I prefer to
separated from their parents at the border. Is he just breeding future terrorists who are going to grow up hating this country for childhood memories that are real? Terror? You talk about terror. Whoa. You take kids away from their parents? How about the terror to the parents for losing their children?
Ralph, come on now. The parents have broken a law. And if I have my child in the car and I'm driving across the Golden, if I have my child in the car, Ralph, and I'm driving across the,
break the law, you lose your kids.
Well, okay, hold on just a second. Let me just finish my thought. If I'm driving across the Golden Gate Bridge tonight and I am pulled over and it turns out that I have a warrant for my arrest, a felony warrant for my arrest, and my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old are in the back seat of the car, guess what happens to them? They get taken to the police station. I get taken to jail. And those two are separated from me right then and there. I am put in handcuffs, and those two children are separated from me. That's what happens to a U.S. citizen. That's what happens to a U.S. citizen. Why wouldn't it happen to a Mexican citizen?
because you would know where the kids are, Tom. If we take in San Francisco or Arizona or Los Angeles, if you're arrested and you have kids, you get into their aunts or their uncles or their fathers, a relationship. You know where they are. There's 2,000 kids right now, and a high percentage of them may never see their parents again. That's what Ralph is talking about.
That is not true, Fred. That is not true that a high percentage of them will never see their parents again. But the point is, Fred, is that here in the United States of America, if a U.S. citizen is arrested, they are separated immediately from their children. Why would we not separate a Mexican national from their children when they break the law?
One more time.
Because they don't put American children in cages as they're doing with these children, number one. And number two, they know when they're separated, they know where the parents are. They know where the kids are. Eventually, they get back together. The kids go to foster programs. It's different.
Have you seen the foster programs in this country? Believe me, they're not much better. They're not much better than the jails you're talking about.
I helped foster a kid who is now an adult.
There are now kids now crying for mommy, 2-year-old kids who may never see their mommy again. That doesn't happen if Fred or Tom or Ralph are driving around with our kids. They go to the foster thing, and if you don't have relatives, in most cases you will have relatives. So when you get out of jail, you know where your kids are, and the kids can come and visit you in prison. That's not what's happened here. They didn't have an idea, a thought, or a care, or any compassion about the future of these kids. And that's the problem that Ralph's bringing up, and that's why, to me, compassion is the number one issue that a human being should have, and it's the number one thing that Trump doesn't have anything. And as Ralph brought up, as his girlfriend brought up, and that's a great point, anybody that makes fun of a disabled reporter, that tells you...
Not proven, Fred, not proven.
Not proven. I saw it live.
You saw it live, and you also saw the explanation of the President of the United States for that, and no one has been able to disprove that.
At that time. That's my point. Whether he did it or not, whether he deserves to be elected or not, I want to address the voters who saw him do it. It was proven that he did it. He did it in front of the cameras. He did it in front of the disabled or challenged, or whatever you want to call it, journalist.
But Ralph, he used the same expression in criticizing others who did not have a disability. So his explanation is, and I have to take him at his word, that he did not make fun of the journalist as far as his handicap was concerned.
Why would you take him at his word? He's a lying piece of shit. He put his hand up in a crippled manner to mock the man who was right in front of him with his hand up in exactly the same way, clenched because the hand was deformed and everything but his brain was deformed. You know what I mean?
Ralph, there are videos on the internet that show, and they've been on all the major networks, that show him using the same expressions in criticizing others that were not disabled. So you cannot say for sure that his explanation. You cannot say for sure that his explanation is not true. And I happen to believe him.
I believe the man on anything he says. Do you know what CNN said? He's had 4,000 lies since being president. 4,000.
Have you seen the
news? Thomas, do you believe it's fake news?
Well, let me tell you. Let me answer that. Let me answer that question. As a journalist who spent over 40 years, several of those years working for CNN in Los Angeles, I can tell you that CNN is a biased group of people, and I can tell you that if you want to look and check it out, there is a documentary that shows undercover video of CNN producers talking about trying to criticize Trump merely for the ratings. merely for the ratings and planning and strategizing their criticism of Trump merely for the ratings. So don't tell me that CNN is not biased. Don't tell me that Fox is not biased to the right. I'm embarrassed to have been the former news manager of Fox Television in Los Angeles. Whenever I see the biased way that Fox reports on the right, I spent 2 years running the newsroom at Fox in Los Angeles, and I'm embarrassed to even say it now because of the way that the Fox Television Network reports the news.
Thomas,
and
we all
the way that
for our supper. Which group is more biased? Is Fox News more biased towards Trump, or is CNN more biased against Trump?
Neither one. They're both embarrassing.
Which is more? Which network bends over more for the man? Either way.
I don't think either one is more. I think that both of them are discredited.
Fred,
both are discredited
which
individuals.
Which do you think is more biased either way? CNN or Fox News? Fred?
To me, it's not even close. But I mean, the Fox people in the morning show basically put him on as the Godfather, or like whatever they say. And the interesting thing is, he watches so much of it, he believes what those people say, and it's almost hard to believe it. But here, Ralph just said he lies all the time. I'm going to say he 4,000 times CNN used. I think New York Times used those 3,000 number of lies. Just the thing that happened 2 days ago, the tape that Michael Cohen has. Trump said how many times on national TV he didn't know anything about the payoff. What do you think that audio tape's going to say? He didn't know anything about the payoff? That's what the first audio tape exactly is, apparently. So my point is,
I don't know what it will say, but as a journalist, I will tell you that I'm going to wait to see what it says before I pontificate over what it says, Fred. I'm not going to sit there and convict a man based on what I think it says, and this is what you love to do. You like to convict a guy, but you don't wait to see what it says.
Let's say you hear the 12 or 13 tapes, and on 6 of them there's Trump and Michael Cohen talk, how much did we pay this person? How much did you pay? I'll get it back in my campaign fund. Let's say you hear that. At that point, are you going to say that he's a liar, or are you still going to give him the benefit of the doubt?
I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt in answering a hypothetical that is not even close to being realized. Okay. If indeed something like that happens, I'll address it at that point. But you liberals decide that you want to convict before the evidence is in. You want to pontificate about what the evidence is before the evidence is there. I would say to you that I would love to see, I would love to see the court papers of Stormy Daniels' husband, who has now, within the last couple of hours, it's been released, has filed for divorce against Stormy Daniels. Let's see what he has to say about Stormy Daniels.
And the price of butter in Alaska. Let me ask you let me tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see his tax return.
And that's why they're getting divorced. Maybe that's the thing. People have heard that tape, Tom. Okay? They're talking about it. Avenatti's heard it. He just can't say it at this point. But he's heard the tape. He's not going to embarrass himself on national TV 100 times in the last 2 or 3 days unless he's heard the tape. He's heard the tape. So they were talking about the money to pay off in the campaign funds. So if it's 6 months, 3 months, 6 days, 6 hours, eventually it's going to be proven that this man lied once again. And one thing we haven't talked about, as of the time he took over as president, he already had 3,000 lawsuits against him. I would imagine, Tom, you've probably had one in your life. I've had one in my life. Ralph, how many lawsuits have you had in your life?
2,420, but
okay,
you can't
so Ralph
go by
had one or two in his life. And this one man at 3,000, mostly because he doesn't pay his bills. And mostly because he doesn't pay his bills, people take him to court, and he thinks because of all his money, and he's got lawyers up the kazoo, that the other person eventually will back down. He's lost two out of 3 of those lawsuits. He just lost $300,000 for a $30,000 paint job at his place in Mar-a-Lago. That happened maybe 3-4 months ago. And what about the $25 million payoff I'm sure he took from campaign funds that he paid for Trump University? Eventually, people have to say the man's no good. That's all it is. I mean, He's just no good, no compassion, and no brains. Because his lies.
Well, until they say that, he's still your president, Fred. Until they say that, he's still your president.
I never liked Hillary. Okay, the reason I never liked Hillary, she's a liar. The difference is she's a smarter liar. Hers are harder to catch. You can catch Trump's lies every time he opens his mouth because he doesn't even think ahead. Because he might change his opinion, and make something up 30 minutes after he said something in a different situation. So, I mean, that's not her. She's smarter. Her lies are harder, but his lies are just so simplistic that it makes you scream.
Well, at some point, you're going to have to realize that he's still your president, Fred, and that's the problem for you and the folks on the left and the right coast, upset that he's still your president. And if you don't want to be your president, the thing to do is stop. The thing to do is,
that he's still the president. We're looking for ways so that we can remove him for being president. Hopefully,
you know how you do it, Ralph. You go and vote. That's how you do it. You go and vote. But when you vote and you vote and you lose, you accept the loss and you move on.
Actually, you know what? I'm a Democrat. Was a Democrat.
What a surprise!
In the primaries, I voted for Bernie Sanders. That vote was totally negated by Deborah Wasserman Schultz. I thought what the Democrats did to keep Hillary as the candidate, endorsed by Obama, was absolutely despicable. I didn't think I'd ever see anything as bad politically again until it comes out that your president, our president, Trump, colluded with Russia to fix the election? Are you kidding me?
Well, he didn't collude with Russia, but he didn't collude with Russia. But so far the evidence shows that Hillary may have colluded with Russia, but no evidence has shown that Trump colluded with Russia. None whatsoever.
Whatsoever, right? Mueller indicted like 24 people now in Russia for messing with the election. Messing with elections, right? 24 people he indicted.
Was any of them named Trump?
No, but they work for Trump. Michael Flynn, Papadopoulos, Manafort's case going to start July 31. All work for Trump. Manafort was his campaign head. So.
And Manafort was his campaign head, and Manafort has been charged with crimes that happened before. Manafort has been charged with crimes that happened before the election. Before the election.
No, that was during the campaign, Manafort.
Right, when he was colluded with Russia.
Yeah.
He has not been charged with one thing. He has not been charged with one thing that happened during the election. Not one thing.
Let me tell you something. Even that, he's got to lie about. He said, "What did when they pushed him up against the wall a few weeks ago about Manafort?" He says, "What was he? The head of my campaign for 6 weeks? No, like 4 months." He can't even tell the truth about something that it didn't matter. I don't care if it's 6 days. You hired him. My point, he can't even say the truth about that. Either he's stupid or he's the world's dumbest liar. I don't know what it is, but I think my point is, why wouldn't you say he only worked for me for 4 months? He's got to say 6 weeks. He always tries to fool everybody, and he's fooling nobody. And that's the problem that apparently Ralph and I agree on. And I think, and it's not that time you say vote, okay, fine. The world could blow up under Donald Trump by the time November comes, okay? The Iranian thing, the Korean thing, he said he had resolved the Korean thing, and now we know through our pictures that they're building new nuclear plants. Did not Trump say it's resolved when he came back? So my point is there anything he tells the truth about? Anything?
Trending Topics News Radio Live coming to you right now on the Comfortably...
Guess what? There are no tariffs.
Comfortably Zoned Radio Network.
Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Tom Simon in Tempe, Arizona.
You guys are so terrific debating each other. In future segments, I'm not going to be part of it. It's just going to be one-on-one. Tom, I don't want you to feel ganged up upon. But Fred and I basically share the same view. So it's basically one-on-one. Our view is totally in contrast to yours. I respect your right to give the view, and you give it with as much accuracy as any other Trumpite I've ever talked to. Now, if that sounds like a backhanded compliment, I really didn't mean it to be that way. But, I'm having a hard time following people who voted for Trump's thinking. And
well, the thing is, Ralph, is that
if you're voting with your pocketbook for a man like this, that's very cruel. You're going to destroy this country by having this guy in. Germans, European trash. We occupied Germany. They're laughing at us. I don't understand this. France, laughing at us. They still haven't paid World War II debts. And we're in a position we look like fools in front of the nation. Canada, Mexico, our border mates. You're pissing them off. How can you piss Canada off? I thought that would be impossible. How do you want to go to war with a peace-loving country who's just basically cooperating with the United States? Now, Mexico, I understand things are wrong, but the solution there would be to legalize drugs and make them prescribed so everybody can come off them nice and easy and not have to bang up your grandmother to get money for them, and eliminate these border wars. But the idea you're going to build a wall to keep out people who want to come into this country, you don't think they'll find a tunnel? You don't think they'll find a way over the wall? Come on. It's crazy.
Comfortably Zoned Radio with Ralph there in San Francisco, almost all the way in the Pacific Ocean, and Brady in Westlake Village, California, also near the Pacific Ocean. I'm Tom Simon. I'm in Tempe, Arizona, at Majana's Restaurant and Grill, the most exciting Lebanese restaurant in all of Arizona. Good to have you folks with us listening in. And let's talk a little bit of sports before we get out of here, folks.
Absolutely. I want to end on a positive note, and I just want to tell you, I have two gentlemen who have combined experience in covering the Dodgers. It's unbelievable. You both did pre- and post-game shows. You both worked with the Dodgers for many years in L.A. I've learned something in my short time knowing Fred. I grew up with this horrible hatred for Walter O'Malley because he took not my Dodgers, but I was a Giant fan, and he took children's teams and moved them elsewhere. And that's not right for any franchise. But I've come to learn a little bit about Walter's son, Peter. And Fred has a great deal of respect for him. And I was wondering if you, Thomas, could elaborate a little bit about why you think Peter O'Malley is a good egg.
Well, I do think Peter O'Malley is a good egg, and I went through the years in the 60s and 70s where the Dodgers and really Major League Baseball was the beneficiaries of a tremendous farm league that he set up. The Dodgers for many, many decades had the best farm team and the best farm organization in all of baseball. And I watched him develop that farm team and bring them up. And those are the days, folks, and Fred, you can chime in on this as well. Those are the days when you came up through a farm team, and then when you got to the big league, you expected to play for that team for maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 years and retire in the same uniform that you broke into the league with. It's not that way anymore, but it was then, and I had a chance to see some really greats play for the Dodgers there when we lived in Los Angeles. got a chance to watch Sandy Koufax. I can remember Fred and Ralph and you folks listening, sitting there in Dodger Stadium with my baseball glove at 5 or 6 years of age, just praying and hoping that Sandy Koufax would throw some junk on a ball and have somebody foul a ball off, and I'd be able to go home with a Sandy Koufax baseball. Never able to do it, but boy, I'll tell you, those days watching Koufax, then later watching Sutton and getting to work with Don Sutton later on, and the other great ball players for the Dodgers made me appreciate people like Peter O'Malley.
Let me just say this.
I have a question for you two sports buffs.
I want to get something
What's
in
the number one common denominator that the great ball players have as opposed to just the run-of-the-mill mediocre ball players? What is something that they all share, or at least the ones that you've met share?
Well,
Fred?
Fred, I think just recently people have been saying this, and I think it's 100% accurate. Mike Trout, 6 years ago, was considered a superstar to be. And if you're an Angel fan or a baseball fan or a teammate, they'll tell you that nobody plays harder or works harder than Mike Trout. So I would say the best, just don't take it for granted. I think the best work at being the best, Mike Trout right now, would be that guy. And others have maybe as much physical talent, not many, and maybe they don't work as hard. And so I think what all of the best have is that they work very hard to be the best, and they want to be the best. They're getting paid big money, and they're paying back their employers by playing hard every game.
And I would say, in line with that, Ralph and Fred, and I had a chance to see some of the greatest sportsmen ever play the game. I was in Chicago when Michael Jordan came up in '84 in Chicago. Got a chance to watch him play. And what I saw in Michael Jordan, you see in all the people that are at the top of their game in whatever sport they're playing. That is the desire to compete. The desire to compete every single day, and the desire to win, whether it be one-on-one against the guy that is their competitor on the other side in football, basketball, baseball, whatever, or whether it be as a team. These guys that are at the top of their game all have one thing in common. They want to win every single time they put that uniform on, and they want to beat the guy that's supposedly their competitor on the other side, and they want to beat him solidly. Michael Jordan had that in spades. Other people that played ball, whether it be baseball or football or basketball, had it in spades, and I think you'll find that anywhere you go, Ralph.
Beautiful answer from
Hey, Ralph,
both of you.
Ralph, let me say something here that 2 weeks ago, on Friday nights, Saturdays, we do a sports byline at 10 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and we had former Dodger general manager Fred Clare on. Now, last year, Fred Clare was diagnosed with skin cancer on his face and squamous cell. That's the second worst. The worst is melanoma. The other side is basal cell. And I've had squamous cell and I've had basal cell. But anyway, the point is, he's better now. He was in his jaw and everything else. And he's having a golf tournament at the City of Hope here in at a golf club here in Glendale. And basically what I'm saying here is if you'd like to donate to the City of Hope, just like St. Jude's in Memphis, the City of Hope here in Los Angeles, they don't get money from the person that's being taken care of. They get money, donations from people like us. If you have an extra buck or two, go to fredclaregolf.com, fredclaregolf.com, and the golf tournament is exactly 4 weeks from today. In fact, it will be finishing right about now, 4 weeks from today, at Oakmont Country Club in Glendale, California. But anyways, fredclaregolf.com, fredclaregolf.com. And see, that's you talk about Peter O'Malley. Peter forced to sell the team. Fox brought the team, And they made a deal soon afterwards, trading Mike Piazza without asking General Manager Fred Clare. So, of course, he quit. And so I've been close to Fred, and Fred's won his fight, or he's certainly battling to beat cancer. And folks, I'm sure all of us have had somebody in our family or friends who have fought cancer at some point. FredClareGolf.com, FredClareGolf.com. End of story.
Good cause. And Ralph, before we get out of here, look, there's lots to say about the history of sports, but history is about to be made in sports, and we've got one of the biggest trades to go down in LA history this last week with Machado going to the Dodgers. We got to talk about that and the effect that it will have on the Dodgers locker room, the effect it will have on whether the Dodgers are able to get to the World Series and win the World Series this time. I say that it is the one of two things that the Dodgers needed in order to win the World Series this time around, the other being the bullpen has to be strengthened. But this trade I am very impressed with, and I want to hear what you and Fred have to say about it.
Well, Fred first.
Well, again, as Tom indicated, I still think they have Jansen is one of the best closers. They need somebody in between the sixth inning and the ninth inning, because most of the Dodger starters only go six. Dave Roberts is quite big about like 100 pitches, 80 pitches, 90 pitches, and he's going to pull the starter out. So they have to, if it's Zach Bratton of Baltimore or somebody else, they're going to have to get somebody who'll go the seventh or eighth inning, I think. So that aspect. But here's the thing. When you and I, when Tom was growing up, Fred's growing up, Ralph's growing up, it was a lot easier. When we were real young, you won the American League, you won the National League, you played for the World Series. Okay, now you got to go through cycles. You got to go through three different teams, whatever the case might be. It's much more difficult to get to the World Series. So what I'm saying is, yeah, right now I think the Dodgers have the best team in the National League, and the Red Sox have the best team in the American League. And if they were going to meet in the World Series, I mean, if it was like it was before, I would say that the Red Sox would meet the Dodgers in the World Series. But how can you count on that when, first of all, you have maybe a wild card game, and then maybe, the shorter series? Anything can happen. So I don't know who's going to win the World Series. I would hope that the 5 minor league players, and again, only the number they had in their fourth-rated Inez, an outfielder, is the one that Baltimore wanted, and they had 4 others. But those people can surprise you. Max Muncy was released by Oakland, got 22 home runs the last time I checked. So my point is, I don't think I just want to rent Machado. I want the Dodgers to offer him $300 million or $400 million. He's 26 years of age, where he'll say yes and stay in Los Angeles. World's greatest deal, in my opinion, because you don't know, because of the short series, if the Dodgers are going to win it.
Well, if he as a rental gets them to the playoffs, you got to say that's a good move right there. What do you think there's the chances of them re-signing him?
I heard he was a Yankee guy, so I don't know. Tom, what have you heard? I don't know where he's going to resign. I don't know who's going to offer him. The Guggenheims, the owners, the Dodgers, based on the TV situation here in Southern California, aren't exactly givers. So my point is, I don't know if they're going to spend as much money as the Yankees will spend for him, and I don't know if money is the only thing that matters to him. I don't know if he'd rather be in New York or L.A. I mean, right now he seems to be very happy, but he's going to say that. Tom would say that. Fred would say that. Ralph would say that. But
what
I would say the odds, honestly, probably not too good of him resigning with the Dodgers.
Now, let me tell you something. I believe, folks.
Significance in either of you guys' opinion?
No, they didn't give up anybody of any significance, and they will have to if they're going to beef up their bullpen. They're going to have to give up somebody of significance, because just because you say, "Hey, we're the Dodgers and this is our year," is not enough for them to get what they want. They're going to have to give up somebody really good. Now, for Baltimore, they got a good platform now to build from. And here's a year that they don't matter. So why not give Machado up, especially since you're going to have to deal for him next year and not going to be able to keep him. But let me tell you what I was very impressed with. I've been very impressed with Machado's interviews that he's given in the last few days since becoming a Dodger. Very impressed with his attitude. His attitude, even almost as much as his play, really impresses me. And I'm bolstered by listening to him talk with the media in L.A. And I will tell you this, the landscape for him re-signing with the Dodgers is completely different if they win the World Series. If they win the World Series, I would tell you that it's an 80 to 90% chance that he re-signs with the Dodgers if he wins the World Series. This guy wants to be with a winner. He loves the Yankees. That's clear from his past comments. But he respects the Dodgers, and he respects Dodger Blue. And if he's able to bring a World Series to L.A., the amount of money that will be available to him in endorsements and in personality is just going to be unheard of in Los Angeles, California. So if they win the World Series, I would say that he signs. If they don't win the World Series, if they come up short, then you're looking at a much different landscape, probably 50-50 that he goes someplace like New York. But I expect him to win the World Series, and I expect him to re-sign.
Okay. Hey, guys, what a terrific first effort on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I am going to revise my thinking. I love talking sports with you guys. I'm not going to talk politics. I'm going to let you guys debate it out. We're not going to gang up on Tom. But when it comes to talking sports, I love to be right in the middle of it. So
let me tell you something, Ralph. Ralph, I want you to rethink all of that because, to be honest with you, it's been my philosophy, it always has been, that the more information that we give the listener, and you folks who are listening now know that you've been able to get information from 3 different sources in this program today, that's the better. And you can then make your decision as to who you believe and who is right and who is wrong and which way you want to go. So, Ralph, if you want to chime in, there's no comment that is unworthy in our program. I guarantee you that.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I will chime in with something in what appears to be, in my opinion, Trump's something good that's coming from this. And maybe Trump and Putin combining forces to help eliminate Iran from being a nuclear power might be appreciated someday. So that's just open-ended out there. I'm open to your opinion on that, Fred.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'm open to what your opinion is on that, about Iran, about Trump and Putin, both thinking along the same lines in as far as Jerusalem is concerned and Iran. Could something come out of
let me just say
Trump?
This, okay?
Could something good come out of the Trump?
No, nothing good. Anything Trump touches can be good. He's going to blow up the world if we allow him to do so. If Republicans don't start telling the truth about this man, he is going to blow up the world, not just the United States. He's going to get millions killed because all he cares about is himself. You can have any opinion you want on Iran, North Korea, Putin and Russia. It doesn't matter. All he cares about is himself. So, and the rest of the world is now laughing at us. So, he's lost a lot of our allies. So it's not like, even that joke last week about...
We haven't lost any of our allies, Fred. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous comment.
Hey, wait a minute. Last week he says,
Name one ally that we've lost. You back it up. Name one ally that we've lost.
We've lost the respect of our allies. How about
okay, well that's a different statement, Ralph. What he said, and what you have to watch out for Fred is, Fred will slip and slide into something that's completely unprovable. And he just said we've lost a number of our allies. Which ally have we lost, Fred?
He says tomorrow, help us attack Putin or help us attack North Korea. They're not going to say yes. They know what he's doing. He's playing a game of just distracting from Mueller. They're not stupid. People that
you see, folks, this is what I deal with every day, folks. This is what I deal with every day. I just asked Fred a very simple question to back up his.
We liberals are tough to deal with.
He's not stupid. So, but the point is, I want to bring up this Montenegro thing since we got back into politics again, and let's close.
But hold on just a second, Fred. Just before you go on that, and you can go and take off on that for a little bit, folks. Understand, Fred was just asked a very pointed question: which allies did we lose? And he could not answer the question. So now he's going to move on to something else.
He did answer the question because we have lost the respect of these people. We don't lose them as allies. They didn't suddenly become in favor of Russia or whatever. Didn't drop out of NATO, for crying out loud. But they look at us. Hey, the man walks in front of the Queen. She's 92 years old. He brushes her aside. What kind of a respect does he have for human beings? If she was a cleaning woman at 92 years old, you don't brush her aside. It's the frickin' Queen of England. He's a despicable pig. And I think that's what Fred means by losing these countries, losing their respect. Is that close, Fred?
What I'm saying is, if you're Theresa May in England, Merkel in Germany, if you're in France, and Trump says, come support me, we're going to bomb North Korea, 80% of the people in those nations are going to say no. These countries are just as political as we are. So there's no way in hell that they're going to do something that Trump says, okay, that's it, we'll be all alone. He wants America first, so now he's got America only. Congratulations, Donald Trump.
I don't think they've dropped that. These countries haven't dropped out of NATO.
Montenegro is the smallest, I think, of the NATO countries, and he makes a crack last week. Well, what if they decide to go to war? Cause World War III, are we supposed to support them? Yeah, because when we get bombed September 11th, 2001, every country in NATO came to our aid. So who the blank is Donald Trump to make a crack about a country like Montenegro? Those are human beings.
He's your president, Fred. He's your president. That's who he is.
He's an idiot. Okay,
Tom, saying it that way, he's your president. Come on, we're looking for ways to make...
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean, Ralph? What did he just say? Who the blank is Donald Trump? He just said who the blank is Donald Trump. He's your president. Stop talking about him like he's...
No, it makes me vomit in my mouth to think about that. You don't have to remind us that he's your president. We're looking for ways... So next election, go to the election booth. That's what you do. You don't call your president a blank. You don't say he's an SOB like Fred says he's an SOB. You don't say those things about your president. No, why? But if he is, why not identify? We have freedom of the press. This is America so far. You know, of course you identify things as they are. That's what podcasting is about. That's what journalism is about. That's what radio is about.
That's what we did when Kennedy was playing around in the White House with his women and with that's what the reporters did then when the Democrats were doing that kind of crazy stuff. That's what we did when Clinton did all the stuff he was doing, right? No, it isn't what we did. We didn't call people an SOB.
We just care about treason.
Forget Bush. You're telling me that Obama wasn't slammed every day by a majority of the people in this country or a big minority of his people in this country every single day in his 8 years. You're going to tell me that it wasn't Donald Trump who was one of the originators of the birther movement trying to prove that he wasn't an American citizen? Give me a break. Obama took it. Trump can't.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't call Obama an SOB or a POS like you called Trump. I would never, no matter how much I disagreed with what Obama did, he was still the president of the United States, and I talked with him and about him with that kind of respect, Fred. And you need to do the same.
Did you see Fox made fun of him for eating mustard with some food he was having, and they put him down for that. It was beyond belief. I cried the night he won in 2008. I wasn't even an Obama fan. He changed our society. I wasn't anti-John McCain until he put Palin with her. My point is, I wasn't, and for the 8 years, there's plenty of stuff I didn't agree with Obama about. He changed our world. Trump has gone backwards. He has proven the origin of the species is not correct. We have gone backwards in time. Today, or tomorrow, he's going to get rid of the endangered species law. So now people are going to be
Thomas, what do you say to that? That is very important
barely surviving
in terms of showing humanity.
$1 million his son's charge to go hunting in Africa, and Donald Trump is going to do away with the endangered species law federally in this country. Give me a break. Don't animals have a right to live? Don't survive? Isn't that important? He doesn't have a.
I don't know. Ask Dick Cheney.
Or anything.
The reality is that I don't like hunting, but I like the ability of people to hunt. I don't hunt myself. I don't think it's morally right for me to do that. I don't do it unless I need it for food, and I don't think that people should do it. But in this country, they have the right to do it, and they should be able to do it.
Well,
and this is the fundamental. This is the fundamental.
They have the right for many years to kill endangered species. What we're saying, folks, is the animals that have gone down, very few of them left. We didn't have the right to shoot those animals, at least. Those animals weren't touched so they could grow back, in numbers, so they would stay, so your grandkids or my grandkids or Tom's grandkids or Ralph's grandkids could see them, or the great-great-great-grandkids could see them. That's my point. Now, you want to go hunt? I can't stop you. But the point is, at least the endangered species protected the animals that we were losing. He has no conception or no feelings. It's almost like you say to yourself, nobody can be that stupid. I mean, why would you want to why would you allow animals to disappear from this earth forever? Because the NRA would be okay with that, or you want that, or a big campaign donor gave you a lot of money, so you're okay with that. Why would you want to get rid of a species that we'll never see again? Tom, answer that, because I really would like to know.
Well, first of all, Brad, you're misstating what he's trying to do. What he's trying to do is correct the over protection of species that are no longer endangered, and that's what happens. Is that there's no longer a danger.
Okay.
So put him back in danger. Tom, accept the fact your president is severely flawed. Our president, I'll give you that.
Well, believe me, we'll have a fundamental difference on that account for weeks and years on end until you go to the election booth and vote him out of office. But until then, you guys need to show some respect.
I think respect is earned. It isn't just given indiscriminately. And I wouldn't respect anything about this man. There's nothing to respect. Again, an opinion. I'm glad we have three different ways of looking at things. And I promise you that we'll continue to do this. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll be back next week same time, same bat station as Al Blumpkin rather.
Bye, guys. Talk to you next Monday.
On this very network. Thank
See
you,
you
guys.
later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate
Thank you, Ralph.
it. Tom, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we sure did. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. Good evening, guys.